Amber Hines is legitimately one of the funniest people I have ever met in my entire life.
Oh, I'm so honored to get
Period.
that introduction.
Yes. And she had this life-changing event happen, which I'm going to let her tell you about. And then in this recovery from life-changing event, she has taken that incredible humor and what she's learned through this crisis and is set out to, I believe she's setting out to change society at large and how we do things, and at least our awareness. So I'm super excited to talk to Amber, the chief of the Bend Down Project, my good friend, my college classmate, Amber Hines. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so how you want to get into it?
I was sent to prison over an email. That's kind of the long and the short of it. It's still like unbelievable to me, right? Because it was like no money was taken. I worked for the school system, which receives federal funding here in DC. And that is why it is considered a federal crime. What the government does is when they start investigating you, they are relentless and they never stop. So they investigated me from 2012 until 2019. So I had to have an attorney all that time. And I was always working with them because I never really understood what they were trying to get at, right?
Right.
Like I didn't feel like I did anything criminal. I didn't, no money was taken. So I was just always a little bit confused. But at the end of the day, I ended up taking a plea to mail fraud, right? Because when you see your name and it's actually Amber Crowder versus the United States government, it's very intimidating, right? Because I don't have the money to fight the United States government. They have an
Right.
endless, budget. So I took the plea, and this was my first offense. I had never been in any trouble. Like, I never even had gotten like moving violations, right? So everybody was like, well, you probably won't get, time in prison. You won't be incarcerated. And I'm like, okay. So we go in front of the judge, and the judge looks me in my eye and he says, oh, I think you deserve to go to prison. Right. And I was like shocked, like, what?
Right.
Me? And even at my sentencing hearing, I had like a ton of people speaking on my behalf. Like I had child psychologists talking about how devastating it is to pull a mother away from, her toddler at this age and how it can affect them. I had judges, I had attorneys, I had just even people that worked in, criminal justice reform speaking on my behalf, but none of that mattered. The judge already kind of had made up in his mind that I was going to prison,
How old was your
and
son at that time?
he was 3 years old
And how long
when I
did you,
left.
how long was your sentence? Or how long did you actually
My
stay?
sentence, 13 months. But I was able to leave after 11 months, and then I had to spend some time at a halfway house. And then the rest of my time I had to do on ankle monitor at my house.
Okay.
So,
I,
yeah.
I kind of don't, I want to not go in linear like timeline order, right? Because I have
hmm
questions
hmm
about prison, period, right? But you came out, and after you got probably, somewhat got your feet underneath you, you opened up an Instagram account. What is the Bend Down
Yes.
Project?
So the Bring Down Project is me. It's my story. And what I kind of aim to do is to shine a light on the criminal justice system, but by destigmatizing what it means to be incarcerated and humanizing it, right? Because to be honest, I never thought about anybody incarcerated before I got incarcerated, right? Because unless you are directly impacted by it, it's nothing that you really think about, right? Oh, somebody went to prison. They did something bad. They went to prison, right? Because to a lot of us, the concept of incarceration is very black and white, right? You do something bad, you go to prison. So when I went away to prison, I met all of these wonderful women. Not everybody was wonderful, right? But like, I'm talking judges, lawyers, oncologists, a lot of people like accountants, just regular people, then even down to people that were, trafficking narcotics. But nobody ever warranted to me what the federal government had given them for their sentence. Like I had a lady, my side bunkie, that's what we call, people that you live with while you're incarcerated. So you have your bunkie or you have your side bunkie, different things like that. She got
Pause.
30 years.
That sounds like chick and side chick. What determines that whether someone's a bunkie or a side bunkie?
So a bunkie is actually who you share your cell with,
Okay.
right? And then your side bunkie is who's next to you.
The next cell over.
The next
Unit,
cell,
pod,
next to,
whatever it is.
however you
Right.
wanna-
Got
exactly.
it. Okay. Got it.
Side bunkie don't
and-
get Valentine's Day cards and dinner. The side bunkie just gets the text message. Sorry.
Side bunkie.
You celebrate Valentine's Day on the 13th.
Their day on February 15th, right? The 15th or the 13th.
Sorry, continue.
So, that also just kind of furthered my, processing, like what actually deserves incarceration. And that's kind of how I came up with this concept. And even the name Been Down is prison lingo. When I first got to prison, everybody would be like, well, how long you been down? How long you been down? And I'm like, what does that mean? Right. And it means like, how long have you been incarcerated? Because
Right.
some people are transferring from a jail, because they couldn't afford to make bail and they have been locked up for at least 2 to 3 years. And then they finally get sentenced and then they're sent to a prison. Some people are transferring from other facilities. You just never know. So that's like a very popular question that they ask you is, how long have you been down? Anyway, I felt compelled to kind of shine a light on what I had witnessed. And the funny thing is, like, before I went away to prison, I lied. I didn't tell anybody that I was going to be incarcerated, right? Because I was embarrassed.
Right.
I'm like a professional, I had a master's degree. I worked in education. I owned establishments in the DC area. And, they started writing these articles about me in the Washington Post and different things. And I was like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And one day I was just like, I shouldn't be embarrassed. The Department of Justice should be embarrassed for sentencing me, a reputable member of society, a mother, a taxpayer. I've never done anything violent, sentencing me to incarceration.
Yeah.
And, again, speaking of nonviolence, that was another fear of mine. Like, oh my God, I have never been in a fight before. Who's going to try to knuckle up with me in prison? Like, I'm going to get my ass beat in prison, right? In my 40s.
Right. So you came out, you started putting out content. It was super transparent in the beginning. It almost seemed confessional in the beginning. And then I could just slowly, page by page, see more of you, your humor coming through it more and more and more. And like, so yesterday, you have this video, or that this morning, how prisons actually have a, what is it? It's a
orientation.
An orientation.
Welcome to Jocelyn's Cabaret. Your every desire will be fulfilled. Your wish is my command. I'm here to please you, baby.
It is the funniest thing I've seen all day. What the hell?
Do it like it's your B-day. Do it like it's your B-day. Do it like it's your B-day, baby. Do it like it's your B-day. Do it like it's your B-day, baby. Do it like it's your B-day. Do it like it's your B-day, baby. Do it like it's your.
Jocelyn Hernandez has like a show called The Cabaret Show, right? And like, she's a horrible, rapper, right? Like, no shade. Love her, but, music may not be her ministry. It's the beginning of her show, and it's like, welcome. And so at this prison orientation, it's like, they're trying to sell me on incarceration. So I'm sitting here and it's like, I'm meeting with the warden, I'm meeting with like the sergeant, like the lieutenant. I don't know. They have all these roles in, while you're incarcerated of different people. And they're all like, this, as long as you do this, you'll do well here. We have all this for you to do. Like, they're like selling me on the idea of prison. And I'm like, this is insane, and it's really horrible. Right. But you just kind of go with the flow. And so that's kind of what this TikTok Jocelyn Hernandez thing reminded me of, like, welcome to prison, where all of your desires can be fulfilled, all of your needs can get met.
Do it like it's your B-day, baby. Do it like it's your B-day.
And
There's a conflux of characters in your head, and they're all having a party. and at this party, somebody turns the camera on, and the message comes through with the entertainment. It is ridiculous.
like all of the, like, I'm like, what are you actually highlighting, right?
Right.
Here in prison? Are you highlighting the way we're living, which is like trash? You know what I mean? Like animals. Like, what is it exactly that you're selling me on?
There's nothing you could say online in these skits that's going to get you in trouble and like, oh, come give us those other 2 months. Like, you're good at this point, right?
Yeah, no. I have served my time. Like, because when you're on ankle monitor, that is considered your time, right?
Okay.
Unfortunately, you're still under the BOP, supervision, which Bureau of Prisons. But like what I don't necessarily do is I don't go into a lot of the details about my case, because if I were to go for a pardon later, that could potentially affect it, right? Because at the end of the day, I signed a plea and I had to take responsibility for what I signed in that plea.
Got it. Mo, she has a video of El DeBarge.
It starts out, I had a problem.
And the caption is me trying to explain this 13-month gap in my resume to future employers.
Yeah, because like what? Like it's
this love.
Also ridiculous. All this love. That's what, yes, because that's how you feel. Like, so like if you're applying for a job and they're like, so tell me, what about this 13-month gap on your resume? And you're like, because you can't lie because they're gonna find out, right? And one of the things I had to do before I left prison was take a resume writing class, which was hilarious. And they're like, put your prison job on there. And I'm like, okay, toilet cleaner, right? Like,
No.
So it's like I go from like, special education policymaker to toilet cleaner. Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
I'm almost 100% abolitionist in terms of prisons, right? I think
right.
I think there's a way to have a society without prisons. The thing that I'm still rectifying is there's just some people who are just absolute trash and can't be around other humans. I haven't figured out what we do with them, right? But that's us.
Yes.
I said that's such a tiny few. Like the number is probably double digits, right? In terms of overall people in the world of made up numbers, right? And so the attempt to humanize all of those aspects, right? Like, welcome to prison. Let me show you around. Here's how you're going to survive here, minus your freedom and humanity, right? They don't say any of that, right? Like, and resume writing. Are you serious, right? Like, here I am. I got multiple degrees. Like you said, I'm, ownership, I'm in policy, and you're going to have me help to write my resume. No, help me explain what the hell I was doing here and why I was here in this. And I don't have to know the details of your case to just unequivocally say you didn't belong in prison. If you needed to make amends, if you needed to make restitution, if you chose to take responsibility of all the ways, I say this to not a parent, I say this to parents who hit their kids. In the world of possibilities, right? You can do anything. Take all the smartest people that you want, put them in a room, and you can figure out anything you want to do as a parent. But here's just one thing: don't hit them. Anything else. And so many just come back to, but I got to kick their ass. That's how we are about prisons. It's right. Like, but we got to lock them up. Like, no. Any other idea, put them in a rocket, fire them to Mars. Whatever you want, come up with anything different. Put them in cages. So from that perspective, it's so distressing to hear you talk about it. I love the fact that you have maintained a sense of humor. I'm sure you've talked a million times about how that kept you sane and alive and everything else, and probably more so figuratively than literally, I hope. But I'm glad you're able to maintain that. It's dope.
Yeah.
Thank you. And two things to piggyback off of what you said. I was not really clear about whether I was an abolitionist or just for reform, right? But once I further investigated what abolition means, it doesn't mean just do away with, it means do away with it, but it means to do away with how we know of it today, right?
Absolutely.
So you
Yep.
create something else to put in play for the people that, hey, these guys are maybe a danger to society. And so I feel like a lot of times we get caught up on semantics of things, right? Like, so to me, it's like the whole Black Lives Matter, right? Like if we said something else, please don't kill Black people, or you know what I mean? You just don't know, but they are going to argue us down over semantics,
Yeah.
right? And that's to me is what happens with abolish the police, abolish prison and different things like that, is that people are just arguing over the words. And to me, that is a huge issue. But also what you were saying about the sense of humor, I feel like that makes my platform more palatable, right? Because prison can be depressing, and you don't want to always just sit and be like, oh my God, look at all of these statistics. They're so dreary. You know what I mean? This is really depressing, especially coming off of a pandemic. So I had to make light of it, right? And I'm okay. I did therapy pre-incarceration when I knew that I was going to prison, and I am currently enrolled in therapy now because prison is trauma, right? And it was active trauma every day. So I need to still function in society, still be a mother, right? And so I have to heal myself,
Yeah. In terms of that, making it more palatable, I mean, Chuck D needed Flavor Flav. Could you imagine having Public Enemy without Flavor Flav in those early records?
Yeah, you needed him. Exactly. He lightened the mood, right? Because Chuck D would have you out here wanting to kill Whitey. You know what I mean? Like,
or turn the music off, like feels like a lecture, man.
Right, but for every Black Steel Hour chaos, you got to have Cold Lamping or 911 is a joke.
exactly.
Even to make fun of it, right? Yeah.
What happens when because what people who don't know you don't know, you've got a master's degree, your network is phenomenal. Like the people who will come to your aid or who will give you input and feedback, that network is nuts, right? The power and influence in that network. So when you're wildly successful, what does that look like? What does that do? How far have you looked ahead?
So I'm envisioning like me with my head on Oprah's bosom crying, right? That is officially my ultimate goal. No, but I have like other projects
I love it.
that I'm working on. But I mean, no, for real, like when you are crying on Oprah's couch, you've made it.
How are things going to change in the States and how we view prison?
So I think that's what it is. Like that's why I'm getting my message out there. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be the person that is going to be talking in front of Congress, right? I don't know if I'm writing the policies and different things, but my goal is to change everyone's opinion on what it means to be formerly incarcerated, to change the language surrounding it, because terms like felon are dehumanizing. Inmate, which is what they called us in prison. Hey, inmate, get over here. You know what I mean? And, and even in the bias when it's used in the media, like it's creating this guilty bias, whether you are or not. You know what I mean? And so to me, the people that have to vote on these laws, for me to reach as many people as possible to just start changing their thinking surrounding it. You know what I mean? And absolutely eventually, moving into abolition, because I think that everything is kind of connected, right? Like police reform, prison reform, police abolition, prison abolition, they're all really closely connected, closely related, right? So that obviously is my ultimate goal, but
that's what's up.
It's going to take some time. Yeah.
Good. All right. I got one last piece for you. I'm putting you on the spot. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're only in your car listening right now, you don't have the video of this moment, I'm sad for you because I know this is going to be fun. I'm going to put Amber to the test. I'm directing. You're the talent. Okay. Now you find yourself at the pinnacle of your success. Mm-hmm. And magically you find yourself sitting on a wicker couch right next to Oprah Winfrey.
It's wicker.
Yes, because it's outside. It's outside in her on her palatial estates. Okay. Okay. And she says, "Cut, Amber, you look tired. Come rest your head here." Scene.
Oh, Oprah, I have wanted to do this all of my life. Please put your head on my hair right here. Stroke it. It's okay. The wig won't come off. I want to talk to you, Oprah, about my creating a movie for me, writing the foreword for my book, and maybe just adopting me as your niece. Can people adopt nieces?
And cut.
I love it. Adopt a niece.
Adopted
Can
niece.
you adopt a niece?
Yo, Amber, thank you so much
Yeah.
for coming on the show today.
No, thank you. I
For
know
us, this is the
a
beginning. You are
long-time
always
coming.
welcome. Come back every time. Not anytime, every time.
Okay.
Let us know how we can support you and how everybody who we know can support you, because we want you to win.
Yes. Please follow me on Instagram at the Bend Down Project. I'm also on TikTok at the Bend Down Project. I'm on Twitter, the Bend Down Project, and my website is thebenddownproject.com.
That's a point of question. Why the hell did you put the in the front? Couldn't you have dropped the? That's 9 keystrokes across all them platforms.
I couldn't. It was not available. Okay. I just only started my project in December.
It would be way longer to call it Operation Get Amber's Right Ear to Oprah's Bosom. So,
Exactly.
we gotta.
That might be worth it. That's a worthy hashtag.
That's going to be my new hashtag on everything. I'm
Ear
gonna
to
actually
Oprah's
go
bosom.
back and add
Yes.
it. Ear to Oprah's bosom. Yes.
Listen, if you use it, I'm going to get a t-shirt made. I swear to God, I'm going to wear it on this show.
Sell 'em. Slang them.
Damn
Love it.
sure. And give them all away.
And give them all away.